Okay, we're still working in Chapter 3, and we're getting a little bit deeper into specifics of type usage and setting type. And these are a lot more specific, so you can fine-tune things. And do they matter? Yeah, you may not think so at first, but it does matter. Now in this video we want to look at quotation marks and what we call prime marks, or the marks that go up and down, straight up and down. We also want to look at some dashes and spaces, and we've already seen where to get those, so this should go pretty quick. Okay, so if you see your quotation marks here, like I've got this text as a serif typeface, so it's kind of a fancy quotation mark. If I zoom in here, you can see thick and thin, and it also kind of curls around a bit. Okay, so that is actually our typographer's quotation marks, or we call them curly, or a lot of times I call them smart quotes. So you'll hear that term very often, smart quotes. You can see here the left and the right, they're different from each other as far as where the thick and thin comes in. Now if you don't see those, and if you see something straight, well, maybe your settings for your preferences are not setting typographers' quotes. And as a default in InDesign, the preferences are set so that they are typographers or smart quotes like this. Now, depending on the typeface, you might be looking at something that's a little bit fancier, okay, or just slanted, maybe not even thick and thin. But to change it, if you have them straight up and down, then you're going to go to your preferences. In a Macintosh, it's under the InDesign. In Windows, it's under the Edit menu, okay, Preferences. And we're looking at type, and automatically you'll see here use typographer's quotes. Okay, that's the default there. I'm going to reset it because I just took it off for you guys' sake. All right, well, what if I want to have, instead of these typographer's quotation marks, what if I want to say 5 feet and 5 inches? Okay, instead, these quotation marks are not actually correct. If you want this to be more correct, then you can go to a special character. Go under the type menu, and either way, if you're converting to smart quotes or typographer quotes, go under the type drop-down menu and down to special character again, and quotation marks. All right, we have a double left, double right, single left and right quotation marks. And now we have at the bottom straight, double, or straight, single. So this one was a single one, so I'm going to go like that. And you can see here it's different. All right, it's straight up and down. It's still thick and thin, but it's straight up and down. So that's more along the lines of what we're talking about. Do you need to be specific on every time you set your type? Well, it might be a pretty good idea because we're in the communication business as well as marketing and graphics and artwork and all that. Okay, so pretty easy for us to change. And if we had these to begin with and you need to change them, of course, you can go to the special character quotation marks and use the regular quotation marks instead. Okay, so that's how to change those. Now, as far as spaces and dashes in between, okay, you might have some specific things that you need to take care of for, let's say, hyphens, a hyphenated word, which we could put a hyphen in by just putting the dash in, right? We might want to put in something like an N dash, which is longer, and that would be actually between two sets of numbers, like 10 to 12 o'clock, let's say, okay? The hyphen in between here is not proper, okay? And we need an N dash. Then if we're also going in between phrases and we want to pause, almost like oh, what do you call this thing right here? Okay, so my pause here, instead of this here, I'm going to be putting an M dash, which is longer. It's like I separate two phrases, or I pause a little bit to put a new word in. And that requires, instead of a dash, you might be doing this in Microsoft, dash, 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 together. That doesn't work either. Okay, so in here, an N dash is like having two small hyphens together, and M dash is three hyphens together. How do I get those? Okay, so my hyphen is fine here, but like between numbers, typically, we'll go again to our type drop-down menu, special characters. Okay, what are we looking for? We're looking for hyphens and dashes. Okay, so this one required an N dash. Okay, it's going to be longer, and you're going to see that it's longer than a hyphen, and it's straight up and down, very plain. M dash, again, we use this often enough to pause in within a sentence. Again, we go to special character, hyphens and dashes, and select M dash. I use this often enough. And in some places you're required to have a space between each, okay, between the word and that. For most of what I do, it just depends on if you're working with the style. It could be APA style, writing papers. It could be Chicago style. It could be a number of different things. The publications I work on, we never have spaces between. It's a dash, but as long as you're consistent and it matches all the way through, then that's what the important thing is. Okay, so what if we need more space in here? Let's say I wanted more space, but not a whole space. So those require, under special characters, type drop-down menu, and we're looking for white space. And again, it has where we have an M space, which is much bigger. Okay, this is a non-printing, but look, it's pretty long. Okay, it's just a basic space, and in fact, the hidden character is slightly different. If we take off those hidden characters, you can still see I've got quite a bit of space in there. And N white space, again, a little bit bigger than this normal space. And then we all have all kinds of things that you might be able to put in. Okay, rarely go here, but if you need something, there's a hair, there's a sixth of a space, there's a thin space, there's a quarter space, a third space, a punctuation space, figure. Okay, so on, and you can try those out. What is a hair space? Ooh, there's actual space, and it's a hair wide. Okay. So in the next video, what I want to do is our tutorial that is in chapter 3. It's on one of the pages towards the end of the chapter for comment proofreader's marks. And so I'll show that in the next video.